All right, welcome back. Today we are with Hayden Schaap. Aidano for me in Italian. And this episode, I really like it because it's something that we continue to talk so many times. We have this discussion over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically the beginning of everything. It's good versus evil.
Okay.
So it's
good versus evil.
Yeah, it's what we're going to discuss today, and what religion has to do with all of this. How can we work around with so many problematics that we have around religion in these days that is kind of ridiculous that after 2,000 years humans, continue to have problems of something that it was built just to help people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and still we are struggling with this. If you think about even the biggest war, one of them is for religion. Is in Israel.
Isn't every war about some religion?
It's crazy. So
at some level, at least,
it's all about religions from the beginning of the beginning.
Yeah.
Even before Roman Empire was trying to unify the world. So let's start. From the basic question of, with all the different faiths that there are in the world, do you think there is a way to put together everybody and try to work in the direction of, hey, listen, doesn't really matter what kind of Christian you are or if you're not Christian at all, but there is a good and evil that is right there that we need to fight.
Yeah. So, is it possible with all the faiths to unite everyone and stop worrying about our differences, but realize that when Christians are fighting each other, for example, on X, then the person that wins is not, there's a group that's winning, and that's not evangelicals or Mormons or Catholics. The group that's winning is evil. So you're asking if is there a way forward where people can unite around a similar cause and not be so caught up in who's right, basically? Okay, so you're basically Catholic royalty, and I'm the equivalent of a Mormon messenger boy.
Not really.
Yeah.
Let's clarify.
Yeah.
From my father's side, there is my uncle that was the personal bodyguard of Jean Paul II. And so I grew up knowing the Vatican, much better than a lot of other people, and raised in Rome, and so that's the center of the Christian Catholics, the Roman Empire. So it was interesting to grow up in this kind of environment, and one day I will do an episode about it.
Yeah.
But this is funny because when I am around other people and they say, I was baptized by the Pope, for example, they take it oh really? Looks like I am an exotic animal.
That's very rare. All I'm saying is we're two very different. On paper, we're very different faiths, but we both are Christians.
Absolutely.
So
connected, because so many times I feel so connected in what you said about religion and belief and faith than any other people that I met. So
and maybe it's because, and this is to answer your question, what's the way forward for people who believe in good to unite together? Is there even a way forward? Well, maybe the reason why you and I get along so well, even though we have faiths that should kind of hate each other, according to social media, I think that the good versus evil narrative is something that is very real and deep, and the only thing that you can unite with is Jesus Christ. So if there is a uniting point for all faiths, then I think it's God himself. It's
the question that I have that I'm not sure about the answer is, do you think that all these people of these different religions, right? If an apocalypse happens, do you think that pushed by chaos and the problematic of the apocalypse happen, that will trigger them to, go deeply in their hurt and get united together versus the evil, or actually chaos and apocalypse will amplify the problematic that we are having right now
Yeah.
in 2025? What do you think? If an apocalypse happen, it will unite people versus the evil, or actually will be even worse?
So I don't know. I mean, I kind of know what Scripture says, what the Bible says, what Jesus himself says about his second coming, the apocalypse. I know a bit about what John says in the book of Revelation is like that's an end time scenario, right? Like apocalypse. But I personally, I'm not very hopeful that humanity is going to unite together if there's something really bad that happens. I'm kind of worried that my neighbors would want to steal my food. But the problem is that right now I think we have a lot of people who maybe claim to believe in something, and they claim to believe in God who tells them to love their neighbor, but they hate their neighbors really though. So what happens if everything's fine and I see you pull into your garage every day, but I really don't love you because I'm not living my faith? Then when something really bad happens, I can't rely on you. I can't trust you, right? So my opinion is that those who really believe in God and who have taken his counsel seriously in the Bible and in sacred scripture, if they really believe in God and they really have tried to do what Jesus says, which is love your neighbor as yourself, those people I think will combine together to be good, or to maybe have like safe havens, pockets of unity throughout the world. But if, and we believe when, the apocalypse happens, I think there's going to be a scenario where only Jesus showing up in a UFO
can save us.
Can save us, yeah. I have a funny prediction. I think Jesus, that maybe he shows up in a UFO. That's probably not, but
well, we'll say we will not be surprised of anything at this point. I don't think so. I don't think so. Anybody, or at least a big amount of people, will not be surprised on anything at this point, because there are so many rumors going on in the world right now, and so many things that they tell us is a conspiracy. The word conspiracy is being used from the government so easy to shut down whatever we think is going on.
It wasn't the term conspiracy theory invented to make it so that you wouldn't believe actual conspiracies or something along those lines?
Yeah. He was made by a politician or by the government.
Orchestrated by the CIA, I believe, right?
To go against some ideas and shut it down immediately.
Yeah, that's George Orwell. That's 1984.
And labeled,
I mean, this is like Hitler's playbook was, as soon as I get into power, I change all of the way that people speak about things. And he had like specific branded narratives that he was pushing, and they would have to use the same phrases over and over again across all of the media networks and the radios. And then all of a sudden you just had these words in your head that he wanted you to be thinking, so that you changed your thought process around everything in society. I mean, that's that type of propaganda is totally happening right now.
Oh, absolutely. And amplified by all the social media, connection and everything else. And this is another question that I have as well, is that why people that believe and they say that they are Christians right there with the social media, in X or any other social media, they spend so much energy and time on attack other people,
other Christians
rather than get united.
Yes.
You know that my core belief and thinking is unconditional love.
Yes,
with
which is a Christian ethic.
With unconditional love, you can save the world. With unconditional love, you can solve any problems. And when I say solve any problems, I mean it. Solve any problems in the planet with unconditional love, right? Love without expect anything back, and everybody. So why these Christians are so focused on attack other Christians rather than get united? What's wrong? Why so much today than in the past?
I mean, dude, so again, I have no clue. I'm not an expert on anything like socio-political but my thought is, if I can say whatever I want to you online and there's no consequence, and this is nothing new, like Jordan Peterson's been talking about this for a long time. If I can hate you online and there's no physical consequence to me, then I'm not really living in reality, right? Because like I would never say those same things to your face. If I say, hey, you're not Christian, and by the way, you're going to hell, Like imagine saying that to someone in their face, and then if you said it to 100 people, you'd get physically hurt by at least one of them, right? But I can go online and I can say that to 1,000 people and nothing will happen to me. So I think that you have this dynamic of like discourse is so it's like dematerialized, so it's not actually real. It's just,
and you are right, this is
words
something
that don't have consequence in people's minds, but they really do. And so then so now that starts to bleed into reality, into the physical world, and people are assassinating Charlie Kirk because he says words. That's, dude,
that's the end of the world.
I mean, talk about apocalypse. That if that happens to one person, you're living in a world where people can't say things without being afraid of dying.
No matter what you think, no matter what you believe, no matter what you said and the other person said, you shut it down. Shooting him is the end of the world, the end of democracy, the end of everything. But you're right that there is a kind of disconnection, and this is the first time we are using something like internet and social media where I don't feel any physical consequences, or if I build a fake profile or something else, actually not, feedback at all, no consequences at all. It's the first time. So maybe the human being and the human race wasn't ready for something like this. And so they feel entitled to go online and vomit any kind of fear, because these are projection of fears after all.
100%, dude. Yeah. So, and then you also have this, you're disconnected from the power of the word. So people think there are no consequences, but there actually are, right? So we just talked about before filming, suicide is as high as it's ever been among teenagers in recorded history. Why is that the case? Well, because there is no free lunch with the words that you say. If I put out words into the internet, into the ether, into the universe that are hateful, spiteful, someone gets hurt because of those words. And it starts with like my soul. It just deteriorates until I feel no happiness and until it's not even worth living anymore. So when I do that enough, I start to create a snowball effect of other people doing that, because there is some sort of like instinctual animal gratification, I think, of saying something hateful because maybe you're protecting your territory or something evolutionary like that, right? But the long-term consequences, it erodes your psyche. You don't think straight anymore. You don't see things as they really are. So then when and you think physical violence is a video game, and it's really not, and there's real implications, and I don't know, I think that deteriorates very quickly. And there are real consequences to the words that you say.
1,000%.
So if you want to be Christian, then like saying words that Jesus Christ would not say is fundamentally not Christian. Last I checked, Jesus Christ was...
And why you're so attracted to say it.
Yes, exactly. And so my thought is like, you say you're Christian and you're going to... So for example, in my faith, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, right? People call us Mormons. People want to tell us all the time that we're not Christian, even though I promise you, I say Jesus Christ's name multiple times a day when I pray. So, and whether I am Christian or not, you don't even give me the benefit of the doubt to say that I am. And it's not even because we don't believe in Jesus Christ. I'm not Christian apparently because I don't believe in him in the same exact way you do.
That's so dangerous.
It's so dangerous because if you look at just what Jesus Christ himself did while he was alive, is he was merciful and kind and loving to everyone, including people that were hated by the Jews, right? The Samaritans, for example. So at the very least, you're not Christian if you hate me.
Absolutely.
Because Jesus Christ wouldn't hate me even if I was wrong, right? So how can you claim to be, you're masquerading as Christian and you're really not. Whether I am or not is a different story. You don't know how I live. So I need to go live like I should behind closed doors.
But and also is a very big paradox for these people, because they're basically say, I am Christian and I don't think so, you are Christians, and they have a form of hate.
Yep.
And you in the other side have said, I don't hate you actually.
I don't.
And I don't think so.
In fact,
we are different.
This is probably bad too. I don't even care what you believe.
That's right.
But I do value you as a human being, and I believe that you are a child of God, like I am a child of God.
Yeah. How can it be that the person that point the finger and judging is right? Is never right, because you're judging in the first place. No. And you're not defending. You're just saying, I love unconditionally everybody. How can you be wrong? How can the person point you could
You're
be
like,
right.
No, you
It
don't.
doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But going back on something that we saw before, I think it's very interesting that internet and this technology amplified only the bad things. Didn't amplify the good things. If you think about internet, right?
Yeah,
pornography amplified, hate amplified, problem that we have with our society amplified, even if helped us to be more connected. But what are the good things that amplify? There are not that many, actually.
Well, so then my question is, does that mean that evil is more viral in nature than good, or
technology is more compatible,
or is it a commentary on the nature of the technology itself that it's evil? Maybe, but I think there's also a third option that I've been thinking about a lot, which is perhaps the fact that evil is more viral it's one, maybe part of our human nature that like we detect threats in our evolution, right? So if you start saying things that like will eventually lead to you wanting to kill me, my mind remembers that more than you saying, hey, I love you, because you're supposed to love me. So like, I don't need to really remember that. Like that's how we are naturally, right? So maybe it's a threat mechanism, a threat detection mechanism, but also it could be evidence of the fact that there is like active orchestration of evil.
Right.
Right.
And that's an important point.
Yeah. And I believe that is true.
Because who manage and control the media, in somehow he can give the direction to everybody else that are using the media.
Extremely coordinated as well, right?
Somewhere, yeah.
Organized.
I personally don't believe that technology is evil or associated with the devil or negativity, but in somehow humans, when they get connected all together, they have this tendency to get aggressive and to be more negative rather than positive, you know? And this happening generally a lot of times. Like even when you drive in the street, you know, it's more common than people hate each other than they just say, hey, how are you, smiling to each other, let people go left and right. And I think it's the stress of the society that we build that to have an easy life is much difficult, and so you project all these problematic when you can in a place like internet.
Well, and look at what happened to Jesus himself. Is he became so viral that he was now a threat. He was certainly a threat to the Jews and their ruling class specifically, right? Not the Jewish people, but the Jewish ruling class. It's like, does that sound familiar? He's also a threat to the Roman Empire because all the political dynamics of Rome ruling over the Jews is like, you can't have an insurrection inside your country that you conquered, right? If Rome has an insurrection inside of Judaism where this guy off the streets now has a huge following, that's a liability to Pontius Pilate. So the only choice is to kill that person eventually.
It was a treat. Yeah. Even if Roman Empire give up and say in the end, you know, you guys are free to have a religion.
No, you can't do that. Yeah. Because Pilate needs to get a promotion. Right? Yeah. And like the way you do that is by ruling and conquering more, not by letting people do whatever they want.
Absolutely, 1000%. And what do you think, how do you think it's possible for religion to, in a way, explain better what is the good and what is the evil? Do you think that there is a way that religion is giving the message in, you know, better than a person that is not religious?
Right.
Does it help to define the line between good and evil? And all the religion are doing that, and are they united on this? What do you think?
I don't think they're united. But is it possible to define good and evil? Could the religions of the world do that? I think they could, but I don't.
Because sometimes for me it's very confusing, especially thinking about wars, right? A war is never positive because you're killing people. So a war can never be a message from somebody with very strong religious thinking.
Right.
And a war is only a reaction when somebody's trying to murder you, and then you need to defend you and your people back. Right. Because of your life is threatened, right?
Right.
But anything else, a war is never religious thinking. So
it's fundamentally evil. Death is evil, right?
And so no wars are basically can be justified.
No, they can't.
But still, in 2025, we do have wars going on.
Right, and
we have leaders that they say that they are very religious.
I was going to say, how many of those people pushing wars are say they're Christians? Right? So, like, maybe the Jewish people have a precedent for war if in fact they're defending land they were given and promised by God himself. Okay? I'm not even saying that that's what they are doing. Maybe they think they are, maybe they're not. I don't even know. But I don't know if there's any other scenario in which, like, you can justify conquering people, killing them, even claiming that you're right about the way that you live, right? It's like, I'm going to come into your country and I'm going to say that you need to live this way. And
killing
if I'm willing to kill for that, then like how likely is it that I have good intentions once the killing's over? Mm-hmm. Well, it's never over because there's too much money in it, right? So I don't think you can be Christian and want to kill. But to your question about like how can religions define good and evil better? Yes, but I don't. I think every individual knows good and evil
inside.
Yes. So in my faith, I have been taught, and I believe that there's a light in every person that is. We call it the light of Christ, but this is like the spiritual light that animates us. It gives us life physically, but it's also the thing that it's our conscience. It helps us discern between good and evil, truth and error. So I think every person knows this, and there's going to come a day where, I mean, Matthew, the Lord goes in depth about the judgment. Again, John in Revelation talks about the judgment, but there's going to come a time where all of us will have to stand before God himself and be judged. Mm-hmm. And when that time comes, we're going to have a perfect understanding of how much we defied our conscience for good or for evil, right? And so I think that it actually is up to every individual to say, like, no, I'm not going to do what's wrong. I'm going to do what's right. And I don't need someone to tell me what that is, because I know what that is. If it leads to good and it leads to peace and happiness, then it's good. If it leads to chaos and contention and conflict, then it's evil. And I don't know how you could claim that it's not evil if it's contentious and conflicting and death and violence, right?
If you disrupt and you attack the freedom of another individual, how can that be? No, evil,
no, it's
right?
not. Yeah.
And respect and the opposite, and respect and live all together, that's a form of good as well.
Yeah.
It's so basic that is inside all of us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's so I mean maybe religion helps people define what that looks like and gives us an understanding of how to get more of that light so we can do more and more good. But it's up to every individual to choose good.
Or maybe religion is good to remind people over and over, because during your life so many stress and things can happen that you may forget.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the very hard times, so religious will bring you back on the track and say, hey, remember this, remember this. And at this point, do you think that can morality exist without religion, or morality exists only in a brain that believe in religion?
I see. No, I think it exists. This is like a common debate, right? Is like, do you have a different morality than I have? So if you think that what you do is good, but I think it's bad, then like, who's right? Well, God is right, is what a Christian believer might say. And so I don't believe that there's a dual standard of morality. I don't believe in that you just have your own reality that exists outside of mine. We clearly interact with and affect each other. So there are laws that exist just like gravity. Mm-hmm. If I jump off a cliff, I'm going to die. Why? Because gravity works every time, 100% of the time. It's always there. I know you have some thoughts about gravity, but it's the same thing. If I do kindness to you anonymously with no expectation in return, but just because I respect you as a human being and I empathize with what you live every day, or I try to. The reciprocity that happens because of kindness, so you wanting to do it back to me, that there are laws in that world of spiritual and social living that are just as real as gravity. And you can't see gravity, right? Mm-hmm. I can't even touch gravity, but it's real. Yes. Every time. So morality, I believe, is the same way. I can't see a moral code. I might not even know what laws there are about social interactions or good and evil, but they do exist though. Right?
Absolutely.
If I go into your country, if I go into Italy and I break a bunch of laws,
there are consequences.
Whether I know it or not, there are consequences, right?
You're so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also I'm interested to know your opinion. Why in every single religion that there is in the planet, there is a sort of, light versus darkness, Why there is in every single religion this concept of constantly battle between the two, good and evil, light and darkness.
This is like, what's up with the hero's journey? Why is it such a fundamental part of our psyche, right?
Right.
One answer could be that we all are from the same family, which is Adam. We all are human, and we believe that Adam is the first human, don't we? So Adam, apparently, according to Genesis, knew God, and God told him things, and then Adam passed on that knowledge to his kids. And so if all those kids had the same knowledge, my point is that there's a source of truth that started somewhere, and that truth has continued for up till now, really, right? Like the common beliefs that we share across multiple religions, probably if you trace them back, like their lineage, their lines of truth, authority, how they got from one ear to the next, you'd probably find a similar code of religion, and you would probably find that God was the one that gave that religion. So you're seeing just either fragments of the original ancient traditions, or you're seeing maybe bastardized versions of the ancient traditions that are passed down. And maybe you're seeing even versions of truth that people are finding that, like, oh, this is actually what God said. This is actually what he wanted people to do. That's my thing, is a common source, right?
Absolutely. Or maybe if there is a creator, if there is a God, he doesn't really care about any religion that you believe, because all of them, they have this concept of light and darkness, and they put it in every single religion because that's what united our thinking of be alive in this reality, in this universe. It's a battle. You need to choose what you want to do. You want to be in the light or in the darkness.
It's a test.
You want to be good or evil.
It's a biological simulation.
It doesn't really matter which religion you choose, because the battle's still there.
What is the scenario in which God would care about one religion being correct? Like, if you could imagine a world where God actually was like, this one is the right one, and these are my good reasons why it's correct. What would be the reason why God would ever want that?
Well, I don't know if I'm right and wrong, again, because I have my perspective and my belief, and my belief could be not belief at all.
Sure.
But I don't think so that a creator will care at all. Because no matter what we choose, he will know everything. We don't really need to prove him right or wrong. We don't really need to say hallelujah every 7 days.
Right.
Or he knows your intentions. So he knows if you enter in one religion or another one for any other reason than this fight between light and darkness.
Sure.
So I think at the end of this journey, that when we are born, maybe we're here for a journey, for a test, like you said.
Yeah.
We will be judged in a unique way, all of us.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I don't think so there are people that are going to be judged similarly just
because they were baptized Catholic or because they're Muslim or evangelical or something. Yeah, interesting.
I don't think so at all. And even if we are going to the same church every day, in the same neighbor, and we're brother, in the end we're gonna be judged so differently.
Right.
For the adventure that we did, the choice that we choose.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think in the real beginning, maybe there was one in this planet. And then with the time passing, I don't even know if the history is that small than we pretend to be, or is much, much bigger, right? But for me,
probably bigger.
It's like that with the time, languages started. I'm sure that in the beginning, we spoke one language.
I mean, the fact that language itself exists is kind of weird without it being from one source. Yeah.
Think about it. And so, because we speak more languages, we create even more religions in the same way, you know?
Yeah.
And we fragment that. So, I think it's retroactive. In the beginning, when we were created, maybe there was a religion or a belief, but then it fragment. And so, the Creator will not judge us anymore for which one you choose, but He will judge us for everything that we did, the consequences.
Okay, so then if the Creator won't judge us for what we choose, would there be a reason He would care about us having the right information about Him? Okay, so picture this, right? Like, have you seen Ready Player One?
Yes.
It's one of my favorite movies. So good.
I remember very well. Yes.
Well, you text Steven Spielberg for me right now and tell him that it's my favorite movie. I love this movie because it kind of illustrates the point I think that's in my head right now, which is, what if anyone could have the keys to the universe, but God needed to create a way that only the right people would find them?
Oh yeah.
That might be a reason. I'm just saying that might be a reason to designate that. Let's just not call it religion. Let's just say that there has to be one code source, a set of keys to find the right information about God. And that's because that information is so powerful that information in the wrong person's hands could lead to total destruction.
Yeah, and I believe if something like this is the truth, it's not just a selection. It's because
I would agree. Yeah.
If you make it wrong, try again and try again and try again.
Sure.
Go back to the word again. Go back to the word again.
Yep.
Go back to the word until you become one of these person
right.
that have the right key to go to the right place.
Well,
you have the chance to go back and try again every single time until you make the choices that will lead to the right path.
Yeah. So then isn't this evidence that, well, like maybe like logical, you could maybe prove logically that this is why there is an afterlife, right? Because otherwise, you and I both would be saying that, well, if you're Catholic, then you won the lottery, but if you're not Catholic, then you're screwed.
Yeah, right.
And what about everyone that had never even heard of God or Jesus before, right?
Yeah.
And
What
you're
is their
saying that
fault?
like we need Him to be
They have zero fault.
The only religion that could claim to be right would have to be one that believes that everyone can have a chance.
Right.
I kind of hear you saying that, right?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And again, you can come back and do it again and again and again. And this is connected also to my next question, that is, so that does means that we encounter the evil and devil during our journey, or we are born with a little bit in our heart? Are we born with a dark side that can go up and down, balance on what we do, or we are born absolutely perfect and that dark side is in this planet just to try if we understand the right path?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Okay, so I have apparently a lot of thoughts on this. Again, just like I don't know anything, but this is kind of my opinion. If you look at the story of Adam and Eve as a history of humanity,
So simple, but it says everything.
right? But right, and so like we look, when it is so simple, and it's like if I was God and I wanted to make sure that those stories were accurately passed down so that people knew what their condition was as a human being, so they knew what to do about being human, then I would want to compact that story into something very like metaphorical, allegorical,
1000%.
and then I would make it in a way that became tradition that people pass down, right? So in this story of Adam and Eve, you basically have a scenario where like they were perfect, they sinned or transgressed God's commandments to them, and as a result of that, he cursed their existence. But why would you do that though? Well, because they were given information that they shouldn't have. That's what we believe. Like if you look at the Garden of Eden, especially if you look at like Apocrypha stories, you have this scenario where Adam and Eve are given information that they shouldn't have. They eat something they shouldn't eat, right? So now they're corrupted, which means that they have to die. So the fact that exists means that if they're going to be beings that live forever, then they need some sort of saving or redemption. But the earth itself becomes cursed, corrupted, right? What does God say? It's something like noxious weeds will grow instead of like flowers or something along those lines, right?
And you will suffer to make
you'll suffer, and by the sweat of your brow
to take the fruits from this earth. Now you're gonna suffer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so why would that be the case though? It was because everything has become corrupted if they don't listen to God. God, the good is the thing that makes things last forever. Evil is the thing that makes things die. So if I have evil a part of me, I need to get that evil out of me. So yeah, I do believe that there are parts of us that are natural. Like, I don't know, there's a monkey animal inside us that's like part of our physical evolution, but there's also, I think, something eternal in us, which is our spirits. And that light is good, but I think my flesh has tendencies that are not good, that are biologically destructive, and so I have to tame those things if I want to have any chance of being good, all good, right? But I don't know if it's in the heart that there's good and evil. I think it's two parts of us that are different than that, maybe. But maybe the heart's a good conceptualization of it.
Inside us, yeah, maybe. And so in our society, it's also interesting for me. Why so concentrate today to let you sin? Like everything goes in the direction that, don't worry to be judged. You're free to do whatever you want. You're free to sin. And you are okay with that.
Yeah.
You are, why so much focus to let you feel comfortable with that rather than uncomfortable? And what is the gain of society? What is this the devil
Blackmail.
try to
Blackmail's the
oh
game.
yeah. Yeah, for a lot of leaders, and it's a way to be able to manipulate people, but it's everywhere.
Okay, so
the sin is everywhere. Spend more money, play video games 10 hours per day, or go to gamble and sex addiction, or why sin is so much in our society? Is the devil try to operate, or it's us that it's part of ourself?
Yeah. That question is like also how organized is evil, and I think it's extremely organized. Maybe demons or something, right? And the demons report directly to Satan himself. So it'd be funny if that was right. I think it might be close.
That's actually, you have a chance.
Yeah, I think that's close. So if the origin of the evil is this person who hates God, which if you look at the Adam and Eve story again, what you find is a character who hates God. He curses God and wants and is going to destroy the posterity of Adam and Eve at all costs, basically. Especially, again, if you look at the Apocrypha, you see a lot of this, the ancient traditions. That person, so his name is Satan, right? Do you know what Satan means? Satan, I believe this is in the Hebrew, because it first shows up in Genesis.
There are so many.
So Lucifer, and then you have in the Satan means the accuser. This is an interesting name for Satan, right? Because it's not the first one you would think. You might think Satan means devil or something. It doesn't. It means the accuser. So what does the accuser do? He sets you up to sin so that he can then record it and use it against you. He's the ultimate blackmailer.
Absolutely.
But why would you do this though? Well, because Satan himself still lives within the constructs of the kingdom of God, let's say. And if God is the ruler of the universe and Satan is an evil tyrant within that universe, what he's trying to do is he's so upset about the fact that he was condemned that he's trying to accuse as many of God's children as possible
to prove it,
so that he can go to God and say, hey, nope, you can't let them in because look at what they did.
Yeah. So
then what's the answer to that? Well, the answer is another person within the universe, and that's Jesus Christ, the Redeemer. And I view them as, and so Jesus Christ is also referred to in the Bible as the advocate, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So you have accuser and then you have advocate. I just think that's an interesting way to look at it.
So interesting. And why do you think we're so attached with this idea in religions? They're so attached to the idea of angels and demons. Where all of this come from? Do you think there is a reason? Do you think there is
You mean aliens?
Angels,
you mean good aliens and bad aliens?
Why angels and demons, Why angels and demons, you think?
Maybe angels and demons are the same thing, but on different teams. Maybe they're both soldiers, I've recently been thinking a lot about this idea that perhaps, even as referred to in the Bible and other ancient, like sacred scripture texts, in my faith, the Book of Mormon, angels are actually a title for a position within God's universe. And demons are also a title of a position within God's universe, but they are on a different team, right? They're the ones that are like the forces of evil. So, so I have a friend of mine who grew up in Brazil, and he's a very good soccer player in Brazil. And when he was young, he got involved in spiritualism, espiritismo, which is like black magic, very organized religion, come to find out. And he would tell me that he could see, they would train him on how to access and see demons and talk to them. And he said that he would have them converse with him. And he had enough weird stuff happen with him that I believed him, at least mostly. But according to him, he's like, if you could peek into Satan's kingdom, it would be extremely organized. Just like maybe if you could peek into God's kingdom, it would be extremely organized. Right. So I think in the ancient traditions, you have this idea that there's heaven and then there's hell, and that earth is like the centerpiece. It's like the connector between heaven and hell. I think we're
battlefield.
We are caught in the battlefield. Yeah.
That's crazy. And do you think that this is very interesting for me, because I don't have an answer for this and I need to think about it. But do you think that art and entertainment, right? So all included, movies, music, visual arts, are there to help the lighted people, the good, or is actually deeply connected with the darkness and the devil? Or is not related at all?
I think creativity, so I think it depends on who makes it, And
in our society, what
right
we
now,
push.
What we push right now is orchestrated to be evil fundamentally. I mean, when's the last time you watched a movie that Disney released that actually had a hero in it?
A real hero.
A real hero. You haven't seen one in probably 20 years, maybe? If you can find me a good movie that has a hero in it where you're like you could, show it to 100 kids and they would want to be like that.
Yeah. The classic formula of the hero and
and the kids will give you a litmus test, and I promise you show them like Inside Out, they're not going to pick a hero where they like, hey, you could choose to be one of these brain cells that has all these emotions. Which one would you be? They'd be like, I mean, can I not be any of them? Like I don't want anxiety or like, yeah.
And so my question is related from the fact why this is happening. Why the entertainment and music industry, why they're so focused in the bad direction rather than the good one.
Do you know this more than me, that it's actively pushed, right? So if it's actively being orchestrated, that means that it's not natural, that people aren't actually exhibiting real creativity. There's no real creativity creating good things because they get stamped out by those who are in control of media and in control of, I guess, Hollywood, you could say, even though I don't know what that even is anymore. But
yeah. What do you think ultimately they want?
Destruction, dude. Destruction, chaos, power. If there's less people on the earth, it's easier to control them, right?
Right. But to destroy everything and everybody, you will rule on nothing. Is that what really the evil ultimately want? To kill us all and rule on no one?
It depends on if they're being led by Satan or not. If you're Satan, what do you want? What do you want by being rebellious against God? If you were Satan,
right?
You just want destruction,
chaos,
fear.
Pain.
Why? Because you are destroyed and chaotic and fearful. You have no reason to live anymore because you've been banished, basically. Like think about who's the archetype of this? Think about Scar, right? What does Scar want in The Lion King? Scar just wants to burn it all down, right? Why? Because he's betrayed and he's full of hate. He's the archetype for hate.
Mm-hmm. And so is the devil.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't it interesting, though, that we recognize that there is somebody, a society or something behind orchestrating the negativity, using, like we said, entertainment, the media, the social media, the technology as internet to destroy everything. And still, Hayden, we're still here. After 2,000 years, nothing ever destroy us all. Even if a lot of time a simple button will trigger an atomic war and kill us all. But unless for some reason,
stop it.
There is a miracle that never happened. Don't you think it's interesting that never happened?
Yet, though.
In so many years.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But it has happened, though, hasn't it? I mean, dude, how old is Göbekli Tepe? It's like, what did they say, 14,000 years old?
And which cycle of the world we are? We don't know.
Yeah, so it looks like it's already happened.
Long period.
Just think about this. So like they dug up Göbekli Tepe, right? Like so if here's like the normal dirt on the earth, like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, they dug up and it's like down here. So a bunch of mud flew over Göbekli Tepe and covered it. So like if that happened across the whole, and they think that this civilization was huge. How many times has that happened? Well, maybe when Satan gets close to destroying everything and people turn on each other and God's like, sorry, can't do that anymore. No, we believe that this is the case. If we believe in the Bible, we believe in the story of Noah, right? And Noah's, I don't think Noah is, Noah might be Anunnaki, by the way.
That's right. And we're going to touch something.
But if that story is true, like a history and not just an allegory, then what that means is that God is not unfamiliar with destroying civilization if it becomes too wicked. And that's the reason he says that he's going to wipe everyone out, is because they've become evil. Because they're going to wipe themselves out. So he has to save at least a small group to preserve them, right?
Absolutely. And it's so interesting that you quote the Anunnaki, because they are so much in so many different religions here and there. And they are so specifically in details, in some scriptures, in different part of the world, in different ears of the world, that were never connected. And so that will let us think, how is that possible that they're describing exactly the same kind of people? And so these go in the direction of how many times this world was run. Is this the first run, the second run, like thinking about metrics, but
it's at least the second round
in an organic way? How many run this planet really had? And this is also go against science that
matrix, dude.
go against the science that they're not really, they think, they believe they know how old is the planet Earth, but they constantly release new paper that said, well, actually we were wrong, we think that now we are actually.
Well, dude, and like, okay, so in Turkey, the one of the only trees that you can plant, that once you plant it you can never touch it. You know what type of tree this is?
No.
Olive trees. Okay, so they're digging up Göbekli Tepe and they think that this ancient civilization, 14,000 years old, they think it's like hundreds of miles long, and they're almost certain they're going to uncover hundreds of miles of an ancient civilization.
Wow.
Okay, the World Economic Forum funds through a chain of chain of authority, they fund this project where they just start planting olive trees everywhere over the dig sites that they're about to dig.
Wow.
Why would you do that?
Wow.
Well, because you don't want people to know stuff that this ancient civilization knew, right? The more knowledge that people have right now, the more chaos there could be, or the more uprising there could be, or the more people might be like, oh, well, we're being controlled, and they would revolt against it. That's scary.
1000%. And there are so many topics that we can talk, me and you, and I'm sure I'm gonna
I'm
call
taking
you
us
for
off.
other episodes and talk about other things. And but in this episode, I wanna finish trying to give advices to people that right now are listening us,
Mm-hmm.
right? What advice can we give to these people to recognize the darkness and the devil around them in other people? What are the suggestions that you can give to them to see the light?
Yeah. I mean, without claiming, I don't have any moral authority. I'm a terrible person. I'm a sinner.
Like all of us.
I can't. Yeah. There's nothing I could possibly do that would make me a good person without that goodness coming from Jesus Christ Himself in me. But one thing I would say is maybe the listener could think back to, when's the last time you did something for someone that you knew no one was watching? And just go try to do something for someone. Something good that actually makes their lives easier, better, more happy. Maybe it relieves some of their pain. Everyone's suffering right now. So what if you did something for another person that nobody saw, that was completely anonymous, but that actually made that person's life better and different? And just do it. Because if you do it one time, it doesn't take more than one time to see that there are consequences tied to living that type of life that they're not sensational. They're not addicting in the same way that, a drug or pornography or something is sensational and addicting, but it fills you with light in a way that makes you want to do more of it. And it makes you want to live in a way that is more like how Jesus would have lived if He was here right now. And in so doing, if I go do that anonymously, if I serve you without anyone knowing, then eventually what happens is good starts working through me to other people. It's like a grassroots, live like Jesus effort that is infectious, and it could actually change multitudes of people. So that's the advice I would give, is just think about your life and when's the last time you did something for someone else that was completely selfless? And maybe even think first, before that, am I actually happy or not? And am I okay with the fact that I'm not happy? Because to justify not being happy, I would have to claim that reality is built so that I'm not supposed to be happy. But I don't think we're supposed to be sad. I don't think we're supposed to have, like you talk about all the time to me, stress. We're supposed to be happy and loving. And if we don't have happiness or love in our lives, then try doing something that has the fruit of it is love. The fruit of it is happiness. The fruit of it is more kindness and more gratitude. Try looking at your life and saying, what are the things I have that if I didn't have, it would just be devastating for me?
Totally.
And be grateful for those things.
And let's also assume that there are some people right there in internet, around in YouTube or whatever. There are some people watching that they feel comfortable with the sins that they're doing, and with the life out of balance, and following all the dark and evil that they organized, darkness try to give us. What can they do in a daily basis to go back to an enlightened, good life according to religion, and why they should do that without judge anybody? We are not judging.
No judgment.
No judgment.
The
but
only real
why
judges.
They should be lighted and religious. Why does it help to have less stress and a better life?
Okay, so let's say someone loves money, right? And that's they don't want to say it out loud, but their biggest goal is that they could have money. And why do they want money? Well, maybe because they didn't have a lot of money growing up, and maybe their life was kind of hard because of that, or maybe they want power or status of some sort, and so they learn how to get money. And with that money, they start doing things that are very indulgent. So like they have anything that they want at any time. They can get any type of alcohol, drug, sex, whatever they want all the time. And I would categorize those things as evil at their core when not done appropriately. And probably sex is the only one you could do appropriately. Maybe it's like the others are just like, I don't think it was a good time ever to get drunk. Maybe, I don't know.
No joke.
Yeah, it's like, hey, maybe cocaine even a little bit's bad, or like your Adderall prescription that you sell to people is like, that's probably bad. I don't think that's maybe good at all. So let's say those things are evil. If I wanted to convince someone who thought those things were good but didn't want to say it out loud, I would just say, when's the last time you laid your head down on your pillow at night and you actually were able to go to sleep without even worrying about a thing, because you felt at peace, because you actually lived a life that was like something you would be proud of tomorrow waking up to, or that your kids would be proud of you living, or that if your great grandkids told stories about you and they had to they could actually see your life, like watch it on a movie, and they could see every detail of your life, would they be proud that you were their grandpa? And I just don't think many people can live a life like that. So, but my point is like, when you are good, the things that you do in your life last longer. They give you peace that is like, I wouldn't trade the peace that I feel in my life right now for anything. And I've been in the game of money and whatever else that brings. I don't care. You can't buy it away from me. I go to sleep at night not having to worry about like what's going to happen with my life. And honestly, dude, there's been days where I'm suffering a lot with health issues or family stress or something. Mm-hmm. But the thing that entices me, that is convincing to me about living a good life, is the fact that it brings peace. And peace, you can't buy it. Those are the things I want in my life, are the things you can't buy. And so, yeah, the person that doesn't have that, I would say, just take a hard look at your life. Like, nothing will last that is just instant and full of pleasure. Mm-hmm. But if it gives you real peace, it'll last for a long time, and it infects everyone for good around you.
Wow. And it's funny that our society focuses so much to prove us the opposite, take this pleasure now. This is so good for you now.
Dude.
Do it now. And that is great. And it's unbelievable, because I think also there is a group of people right there that is
just right behind that
is listening us, that just don't care, that they don't associate with evil, darkness, or light, that they just don't care about anything. What do you think would be the message for them in a religious point of view of trying to help them? Because I think they can still be helped, or not. What do you think?
I agree. So yeah, that's like the ultimate question, is how do you get someone to care that doesn't care? And I mean, the only way, let me just speak from my own experience. There's been a few times in my life where I stopped caring about whether or not I was alive. And the only thing that got me to reconsider whether I should care is thinking about, one, does life continue after death? And two, my children, frankly, my kids, people that I love. Because ultimately, like, living life for yourself isn't really that awesome, but living it for others is like, that's where riches come, right? So I would say that if you knew that one day you would have to account for all of the things in you, your thoughts, your desires, your words, your deeds, everything you did, everything you said, if one day you had to stand accountable and there was a harsh judge that said, like, all of this good, all this bad about you, and all the bad stuff you have to suffer for, all the good stuff you get rewards for. If I knew that day was going to come, then I would reevaluate how I live, right? Also, if I thought about like the people that I love and care about most, and people say that legacy doesn't matter. I think it's everything. I mean, it only doesn't matter if you don't have one. If no one knows or remembers you. So is it worthwhile to live the life where you can be remembered for good things because it inspires other people? I think it is.
And it's so strange for me that there is always this voice inside me that all end in unconditional love. All can be solved with unconditional love, and everything go in that direction to resolve problems, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You really can resolve any problem that you have, in my opinion. And thank you so much for all this time that you give me. We decide to have 1 hour for every podcast, but every single time I meet Hayden and we start to talk, I always have this feeling that is not enough, that I want to talk more and more and more, because I think we're feeding each other with questions and answers, and it's such a pleasure. And I think that when I talk to you, you know, I can find out things that I didn't know and gain something and take notes. So
likewise.
Thank you so much to be here. And I'm sure that I'm going to invite you for other speech about other topics, so we can actually
or finish all your questions that we didn't get to.
Or we can actually, you know, release all this need that I have to talk to you about all of these things. And I am sure that we may, if we didn't directly help anybody or everybody right there, we start some questions and some doubts that may lead in a direction of unconditional love and love each other. How beautiful will be that no matter the religion that you believe, we will love each other without any war and without any judgment, and just live peaceful together and help each other. All right. And so I have this thing that I 3D print for people that come here. I just put the date here and we both sign, and this is a present for you to remember this experience, okay?
Great.
I hope this is a good memory for both of us.
Thank you.
About this thing that we did together. Thank you so much to be here, and I'm sure that I'm gonna invite you for other things.
Please, I'll have you on my show too.
See you next time, guys, and good luck and good night.